Hey everybody, excuse me. Hope you're all having a good week. Looks like we had a little bit of green in the market yesterday, which is great. The SEC lawsuit is apparently over, which we kind of all expected that to happen anyway, based on all the other lawsuits that were even smaller companies that were ending. So that was kind of an expectation there. I'm actually surprised XRP moved up because of that. But either way, it's good. Price started moving up. So I posted a couple of videos in the Telegram today. So basically, for those of you that are new, you're going to experience your emotions going through a market cycle. If you hold for a whole 4-year cycle, you're going to have the emotions of a bull market and corrections. Okay, we're going to do the best that we can to get out at the top of this cycle. It's very difficult to do that, and we're going to try to get out at the maybe 20% within the high of the market cycle. And on your screen, I think that box on the far end right side is going to be the end of the bull market at this point. If we break the old highs that we're at now, then we're probably heading to about 150 to 170,000. Okay, maybe 145 to 170,000. I don't think it's going to go higher than that. If we even get out of it, I think this is going to happen, this box on the right. So if that changes, then we'll look at alternate situations that can happen. So a lot of what normally happens, you've got your Bitcoin, it runs for a while, and then the altcoins just kind of lag behind. Everybody that's been buying altcoins wish they would have just bought Bitcoin, and then that's when the altcoins start to run, right? So you don't want to make your emotions dictate your decisions within the market. So if one coin just hasn't moved and it's boring, and you sell it and move it into something else that's moving, long term, it's probably not going to be a very good idea, at least the majority of the time. You might get lucky once, and you might do something that positively impacts your portfolio for the short time, but maybe that one that you got in already went up a little higher, so it has a larger correction next time. Okay, so if I ever do something like that, it's very strategic. So for example, like SHIB, we sold SHIB. I'll even pull that up here. So we sold SHIB at this little box. Well, we bought SHIB down here, somewhere down at the very bottom here. And then we sold some of it into LTC, I believe it was. We actually sold 20%, bought back in here. I think sold 30% and then bought back down here. So we increased our SHIB holdings, and then I believe I converted some to LTC. Now then we bought some more over here. I believe it was over here. Maybe it was down here. And we sold right at this box. Okay. This box right here, and then we converted that into some other altcoins, like I think it was XLM. Okay, and now this thing is down 71% from where we got out, and XRP is up 500%. Okay, so we made 200% or 300% here, and then we made 500% on top of that 300%, so 1,500%. Okay, and that was just a very strategic move because this one pumped up really, really fast. Now, if you would have said, well, XRP is not doing anything and SHIB is running, I'm going to move all of my money into SHIB because it's going to go to the moon, and you bought up here, right, and you got out of that boring token XRP, you'd be down on that money while XRP is up. So I just want to put that in perspective for people that are thinking about moving things around. Just kind of stick to your guns in most situations. Well, me personally, I like to stick to my guns in most situations. Okay, and just holding to see what happens. Okay, something that doesn't run might go up 1,000%. You just never know. It could have a pump and dump or something, and that's a way to get out. So you just never know. Plus, it brings a lot of FOMO, and whenever you're in a token, you get out of the token and it pumps a lot, then it brings more emotions to cause you to purchase something that's up that much. So just keep your emotions very chill. Stick to your decisions. Long term, it'll pan out. You can even see that if you look at Bitcoin in general, right? A lot of you guys didn't even need to get into altcoins if you got into Bitcoin a long time ago. If you just steadily accumulated Bitcoin here and just held it and did absolutely nothing and just rode this up and down and up and down, if you DCA'd somewhere within, let's say $10,000, you'd be up 800% in 6 years, which is quite a lot. I mean, to get that in the S&P is very, very difficult because you only get like 7% per year in the United States stock market. The NASDAQ or the S&P, whichever one. I think NASDAQ's might be around 10%. S&P is 7 or something. It's a little bit lower. So if you just held and you would have went through these emotions, and down here, remember over here people were saying Bitcoin was going to zero, okay, and there was a whole bunch of hate with the government, all kinds of stuff. And then over here China banned it, right? And then over here the FTX collapsed. So when there's max pain, there's even more pain that comes out, okay? And then all the viral videos come out that say it's a scam. So your emotions are you're already feeling like crap because you're down on your portfolio, and then the whole world is telling you it's a scam on top of that. It's easy to believe that. And then once that happens, that's all the weak hands get out, and then that's where people like traders really want to be buying, okay? So when your emotions are telling you not to buy is typically the time to be accumulating something like this or altcoins. Okay, so that being said, that's pretty important. It's very, very important. Remember, this is going to look... Bitcoin should continue to go up forever, right? So there's going to be ups and downs. And if we were to draw some kind of let's see, trend lines here, and we extend this out, Bitcoin's not really, unless we break one of these trend lines, okay? So if you draw trend lines here, right? So the gains are getting less and the trend line is getting more flat, okay, from top to top, and then from top to top, and then from top to potential top, right? The trend line is getting flatter and it's going sideways more, okay? Now until we break one of these trend lines, the value of Bitcoin is going to get less and less over time. All right, so that's another reason why I kind of think that this box is in here. That's probably going to be like your Bitcoin high for the cycle, and then sometime in the next 4 years past that, what would that be, 2029, you might only hit $200,000 on BTC. Okay, and then the next 4 years you might only hit $500,000 or somewhere close to that. Okay, but normally it's going to pull back about 80%. Now you can say, well, there's an ETF now. Well, there's more adoption happening, so there's going to be more money flowing into the market. And yes, that is a potential for this trend line to break. But until that happens, I just don't see a reason to believe that. Just because the algorithm for mining Bitcoin and the halvings, it's pretty much already priced in. So supply and demand, there's actually diminishing returns. So that's how I should have actually put that. You get one cycle that has thousands of percent. This one only has 1,000% or 2,000. This might have 10,000%, 2,000%, 500%, right? So every cycle should be decreasing. But if that breaks, then you would probably do a very, very big move to 150,000 or so. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at the market. I'm actually going to pull this up to a weekly. So the 3-day looks really good. You've passed through the 20 line, so that is bringing more momentum in the market. You need to cross on this MACD, but there's a good chance that we come up to probably test this level of resistance around like 94,000 or so over the next couple of weeks. Like, this is very strong resistance. So you see all these candle touches here. We were holding that for a really long time, so that is going to be our resistance. If we don't break through that, you'd probably come back down into this box, okay? And then you could move up here and over the next year, 6 months or so. And so that is an area that we'll be watching, 94,000. Hopefully some of the altcoins actually start to run without that. But what you want to look for in... there was a question in the group. I'm going to read it to everybody because I'm going to go ahead and cover it. Okay, so, hey Michael, any chance you could walk through any of the coins you're watching and talk through which ones you expect to see a bottoming process before we move to the next phase of this cycle? Keen to see opportunities. Okay, yeah, so I'll look and I'll try to compare the last cycles of altcoins to kind of see where bottoms would be on them. But first I want to look at the Bitcoin dominance and show you what I was talking about. So let's see, if we come back down and test this level of support, we could just head straight up to 94,000. If we close there, then there's a potential we go up there. So covers that. So let's look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. Okay, so the 3-day, it's closed a bearish candle here. This is just major resistance. I really wanted this to close on the MACD red, and it didn't. So that just would have been, you know, extra icing on the cake. But hopefully the next 3 days that actually does close down here. But as you can see, you are getting resistance at this level. This area has been drawn in for a little while. I said we could potentially come back up here a couple weeks ago, but I just don't think we're going to end up doing that at this point, because if you look at the weekly here, you have to start curving down. Okay, so you've got bearish divergence. So unless we're going to break through this and then and void this bearish divergence, which is unlikely, it's pretty, probability is pretty low for that to happen, but it can. Most likely we're going to curve down here, and then I really think that we're going to start selling off on the Bitcoin dominance, and the altcoins are going to run. Okay, now if that didn't happen, it would be a completely different thing that's never happened in any other cycles, and this thing would go way up here. Okay, and I think that's probably a 20% chance for that to happen, maybe even less. So things are pretty much playing out this way. Let's see how next week closes, but it does look like it's probably going to get rejected there. Let's look at we'll look at ETH real quick, because ETH has more data. Oops. Okay, so ETH is testing major support here. So we really should bounce from where we're at. I really didn't expect this to go this low even. Would have thought that testing support here would have pulled this up, but I think if BTC probably dropped right there, so it just kind of killed all the altcoins. That's just the way altcoins are. You know, sometimes you're just not going to know what direction they're going to go, and just accumulate while they're falling. Okay, so currently we're in a bull cycle of the altcoins. So bull cycles start from the bottom right until the top. Okay, the bottom here until the top, and then I think September would probably be the top. So let's go from the bottom here to say September. I'm going to bring that down. See, even the boxes should be getting smaller, right? So this box is big, small, smaller, and then should be smaller. Okay, so let's see. So in a bull market, you can take a weekly, right? And then you can see where we're oversold. Okay, so oversold and overbought. A weekly is a really good indicator of when to really be heavily accumulating something. Okay, so as soon as, like if you look in, it's not 100% reliable, but it's a good start. So this is kind of the first thing I'm going to look at when you have a large correction. So are we in the oversold on the weekly? So on this one here, like if you look at this past cycle, when we were oversold, we were down within this range here. Okay, we were somewhere within this range, and there was probably a 20% drop somewhere within this area. Okay, so that's where we're at kind of right now before a move up, right? And then now you're oversold again, so that's where you'd really want to be considering heavily accumulating. Okay, it doesn't quite work when you're in a bear market. Okay, so after 5 waves have completed, you want to be very careful about buying within the oversold territory. There might be a bounce, but everybody's going to think the bull run is back on, and then it traps everybody to where they lose their money. Okay, a bull cycle, most of the time if you just buy in the oversold area, you're going to make out quite a bit. Alright, so like over here, these two were kind of fake outs. But for example, right here was a good time to be buying. Right here was a good time to be buying. Right in here was a good time to be buying. And then it wasn't a good time to be buying. Okay. Down here was a good time to be buying. Down here was a good time to be buying, and then you had a couple little fake outs here. So you've already had 2 of these, so most likely this is not going to be a fake out. So once we pass through this 20 line, if you wanted to wait to purchase some altcoins or whatever, you'd probably do really well if you bought past that 20 line. Then you can go down, you can say, okay, well, we're under there now. So let's look at the daily. Okay, and if you have like a matching area, you're down underneath the 20 line on the RSI, and then the weekly is also down below the 20 line, that's an even better time to be accumulating. Okay, plus you're on support. So you need several different factors to make sure that you're buying at a good time. Now you're never going to know exactly where the bottom is, at least on these pullbacks. If I would have had to guess, I mean this would have been the bottom, right, for this pullback. Okay, because it was on major support. We really shouldn't have broken that support, but BTC, because it's dumped, right, it's going to control the market. So the altcoins, basically just try to buy them and accumulate them. On the bigger pullbacks. So let's take a look at what actually looks good to be accumulating. Okay, so seeing some sort of bottoming area. So ICP can bottom where it's at here, or it can come all the way back down here. Alright, so this was wave 1, wave 2 can come all the way back. So how are we going to know if this thing is bottomed or not? The only way to really know if this is bottomed is if we break out of this channel and close, right? And then if the monthly candle probably passes through this area of resistance and closes a monthly candle past there. The thing is, you could have like a monthly candle that's 200% like this. Okay, maybe that's this month, maybe that's next month. Probably not this month, but it could be next month. But right now for this, the lowest that this can go is here, and you're already almost there. Okay, so waiting to buy this any lower, in my opinion, is just not a good idea. Okay, hoping to get this cheaper is just not a very good idea. It's at $6 right now. Then also I try to find where it's entered that area, because normally that's a pretty good, if everything's oversold on the weekly and then you enter this area, that's a pretty solid time to buy most of the time. There was one called Deep Book I wanted to look at. I think somebody brought this up in the group not that long ago. This one's actually on crypto.com. I might actually, I don't have any cash to be buying right now, but I mean, this thing went up a whole bunch. Normally when something's released, it normally dumps quite a bit, and this one didn't. This just kind of held and made a new high, so I would expect there to be a bounce from where we're at now, and then you'd probably see a pretty big wave on the next one, and then a pullback, and then a bigger wave on the next one. So if I buy this, I'll let you know. If I convert anything into it, I'll let you know. But this is one that I was considering buying. Let's look at BCH. We haven't looked at that one for a while. So BCH, if it closes past this this 20 line, I think this is probably going to start to run again. We're in this major pattern here. We've got to get out of this pattern. But if we break through here, this would probably go pretty high. So this should be your first wave, and then we have an ABC pullback, right? And then now it should be moving into wave 3. Okay, if the Bitcoin dominance comes down, then a lot of these altcoins are going to run, and that's just what we're waiting on. But if you look at the daily, you've probably gone into that 20 area. Yeah. And plus you had divergence. So this is one thing I look for also when I want to accumulate something. If I see this somewhere, that's a really good time to buy. So you've got price action going lower, and then you've got the indicator, the RSI, going higher. Okay, so these 2 points here, they're going up, and then the 2 points here are going down. So that's diverging, and that's where you really want to be buying if you ever see that. You can probably find that over here too somewhere. Yeah, so the RSI, I don't know if you can see that very well, but the RSI is going up here, and the price is going down. Okay, so that's where you would want to be buying, even though it came back down a little bit, but that's always a pretty good place to be buying. And you can see that a lot of the times. So the RSI is going up, price is continuing to go down. And we just had that. So that could be your bottom there on this one. I think I bought BCH somewhere up here also. So I'm down a little bit. So buying today is cheaper than what I bought. I do have some from way back over here. Let's see how FET's doing. Okay, so even on the 3-day, FET entered this zone down here. Okay, pretty much when you enter that zone on the 3-day, that's where you bottom out. You entered it down here, pretty close to down here. You had some divergence, bullish divergence. You entered it there and it started to run up. You entered it right here and it started to run up a little bit, but you had a deeper correction, and then you've entered it here. So you had a little bit of fake out, but the majority of these are not fake outs. So if you already had one, you're probably not going to get another one. Plus, this basically has to be the bottom for this on Elliott Wave. So FET was one. ICP is pretty low, and then you've got Deep Book. But I don't own FET yet, and I don't own Deep Book. ICP, I think I've probably accumulated enough of that. I think I'd like to buy a little bit more, but we'll see if I end up getting more of that. Let's take a look at XRP and see what kind of happened with this move as well. had a pretty strong day yesterday. We've got so many lines on this chart here. I'm going to get rid of these for now. And then let's get rid of this. No, it's still not really. I mean, you've got to break out of this bull flag, right? You've got to retest. Hopefully we just continue to run up here, guys. I don't really know what's going to happen. Normally when I see something move sideways, whenever the whole market has dumped to the downside, it kind of worries me that this thing would dump last, right, and just scare a whole bunch of people. But there is a possibility that it just kind of runs against the market. So I do think that this is going to make a new high within this year. And if the Bitcoin dominance dumps, I would expect this to run with the rest of the market. So just holding it for right now and doing nothing is probably the best plan for it currently. Okay, even if you would have sold right here, it would have been very difficult to buy on this wick. I think it got bought up within an hour or so. And your orders might not have been filled. So like there wasn't really a whole lot to do here. Okay, I think I had an order at 340 or something like that, and it did not hit it at this point, but it did hit it a little bit later, and I took that order off between that time. The risk of selling at this point after it already had a big correction I thought was higher, and just staying in it if it corrected was just a better option, which did not work out in my favor. And that's okay. You're not going to catch everything, but we've caught some. What else would I be looking to buy? So ADA is one that I'd be accumulating more of right now. Okay, we're within this area here, and you do have a cross within the 3-day here, which is great. You do need to pass on that MACD for momentum to really start to build, and passing through the 0 line would be even better. But you're on top of support right now, so this is I really would expect this to bounce from where we're at. Okay, I don't think this is going to go into this box down here at this point. So 70 cents might be around the best price that you can get this. monthly volume is growing too. That volume candle's probably going to be bigger than, if it's not already, it's probably going to be bigger than this one. So you got a low volume pullback and then building volume. So based on charts, that looks good. If you want to stake ADA, you can stake it on their website. I think I did a video about that not too long ago. Use your ledger though. Don't just use a hot wallet. Don't just create one from the site. That's like a very easy way to get hacked. Use some kind of hardware device. Preferably ledger, just because I know how to use a ledger. I've rarely messed with Trezors, and they're not complicated, but ledger is just more talked about. They have more funding, they have more money, so they're going to innovate probably better than Trezor will. And then SUI. SUI, I already talked about SUI. If you wanted to buy that one, right? You hit the box perfectly there, right? For the monthly. I think this box was drawn in from maybe where we sold or whatever. But basically, if this was wave 3, you cannot pass wave 1, so that would be your final buy area before wave 5 completes. Wave 5 can stop at the top of this point, or it can go pretty high. Wave 5 can be bigger than wave 3. Wave 3 just can't be the smallest wave. So which this wave 3, is already larger than this one. So basically, if this was the bottom of wave 3, or if this was wave 3, right, then you should at least be able to get 123%, which I think this is going, to 300% or so, probably around $10. Now, if you were to close below this level here, probably on like a weekly or a monthly, then the top is in, right? And then it's probably going to go back down to its baseline. But the only reason why I'm even saying that is because I don't know, sometimes these get released and they have some pump right here, and I don't know if that's considered to be wave 1 sometimes, or it corrects and then it starts a wave 1 cycle. I'd have to look at, I guess we can look at DOT. Let's compare this to DOT. Nope. DOT. Maybe it's on Binance. Yeah, for example, like this one looks like it's wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the pump, whenever it was released, looks like that was the first wave. So let's go back to SUI. Let's look at this chart. Okay, so it doesn't look like there was a pump, right? It just completely died on the vine here. Okay, so that would be your first wave, your 2, your 3, your 4, and then 5 would be the next one. Oh, let's look at XLM real quick. So this isn't one that I'm going to buy any more of, not unless this touches this level of support down here at 15 cents. So this might just close at 28 cents. If that happens, I think that would be a pretty good sign, actually, on the monthly, so in like 10 days. But so far, there's nothing bad about this. This is a bull flag. This is like a textbook bull flag. So this is a really, really pretty chart pattern that you really want to see in the altcoin market. So you can look at this is, I think this is a bull flag as well. So boom. So there's your bull flag. You broke out, and then this thing just completely mooned, right? This move from the bottom here to the top was almost 4,000%, and then from this point down here to way up here was actually over twice the amount. Okay, so 4,000, 8,000. Yeah, so twice the amount. So let's see from the bottom here to the top here. %600%. So we would see 1,800%. I mean, that would be crazy from wherever this bottom percent is here. I mean, that would bring you right here. If we bottomed right there and we started to run up. So yeah, I mean, I guess buying this is probably fun. Yeah, I'd say buying this one's probably fine. So I mean, there's nothing different here. I mean, breakout, bull flag, big wave 5, breakout, bull flag, hopefully big wave 5. And this one, let's see how long this actually took. So from the bottom to the top, 37 bars. So if it broke out, now, that'd be pretty early, July. So I mean, I guess you could just continue to go sideways for a little bit longer, but I don't really know on that one. Let's look at HBAR real quick. Yeah, I think we're going to call it a day after that because there's not a whole lot going on. I mean, the SEC stuff was really good news. Yeah, I mean, still nothing really here, guys. Just waiting for this to consolidate and then make its next move. And this went up 900%. So it's got to retrace a little bit. I mean, you can throw a fib on there, but you know, if this thing goes sideways more, and you could end up at that 12-cent range. You'd probably just touch it and then bounce from there if that happens. Oops. You know, there is a chance that things, if that was, let's say that was the top of wave 3, and I don't really think that's the case, but let's just say that it was, and things just kind of still continued to get boring, and wave 5 was just the bigger move out of the whole cycle. That is possible as well. Okay, because I don't really, think that's the case. I mean, I think wave 5 is probably going to be pretty big, but I kind of don't think this move is done yet. Just because I don't really see a wave 1 in this wave 3. So I would think we'd have another move to the upside and then a correction before a move up. But the longer that this goes sideways, the more that I think that was actually the top of wave 3. And based on the move here, I mean, you had wave 1 was pretty small, you know, 400%. And then wave 2 was, or wave 3 was 800%. So, I mean, that does match up pretty well. And then this next move could be bigger, right? And it could push this way up here, if that's wave 5. So, but a lot of the times you see wave 1's small, wave 3's the biggest, and then wave 5 is somewhat matching to wave 1. But you can have wave 1 being the biggest or wave 5 being the biggest, as long as wave 3 just isn't the smallest. And that's what we saw in XLM just a couple minutes ago. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's see how this Bitcoin dominance plays over the next week. So maybe on Sunday, hopefully we can get a close that's bearish on a weekly chart, and then this thing would sell off. If this sold off here, I mean, this sell off right here pushed HBAR up 800%. Okay, so if we sold off when we ended up in this box, I mean, that's twice the move. Okay, so that could be a very, very big move for some of these altcoins that haven't quite ran. And some of the altcoins could be on different cycles. They kind of look like they're on different cycles, some of them. So some of them might run. Some of them could have topped, and they're just on their way down for the cycle. I don't think that we're in any of those. PayPay could have topped actually, but we sold most of that. Any other ones? I don't think we've topped on. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all have a good week. Probably rambled on a little bit on a couple of those tokens, but hopefully you picked up some of that. Let's see how this dominance closes at the end of the week, but so far things look pretty good. I would have preferred this to pass through on the MACD, but it didn't. However, it did cross on the stochastic, so momentum is starting to move down. It would have just been more bullish for altcoins if that would have crossed there, but it doesn't mean that it can't cross the next 3 days. So y'all have a good week. I'll talk to you all on Sunday.